One of those batteries was completely full, and the other one was totally dead. What if I told you that during the day, your brain is constantly going through these cycles about every 90 minutes? Did you know that? Let me explain to you what the ultradian rhythm is all about. So you guys have probably heard about a circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is basically a diurnal, means during the day twice, rhythm where you're going to have your sleep and wake pattern. Now, what happens is during our wake pattern, we accumulate a neurochemical called adenosine. So you can think of adenosine like sands in an hourglass. Basically, as the day goes on, you accumulate more sand or more adenosine and you get more tired to the point where basically by the end of the day, you have a lot of adenosine, a lot of sand, and your body basically says it's time to go to bed. Now, within those 24-hour cycles, other cycles exist, and those are called ultradian rhythms. And what they are 90-minute bursts where your brain is basically very active, and that happens if you're lucky once or twice a day if you're a healthy adult. If you're really attentive about sleep and eating and all that stuff, maybe you'll get to 3 ultradian rhythm cycles in a day, but most likely you'll have 2 of these cycles, and these are very important cycles for creative people. So the reason why I want to make this video is to express to you that you might be hitting a roadblock or some kind of obstacle, but it's not because you're not creative, it's because you have a neurochemical in your brain that's telling you, I'm done. So why is this important? Well, first of all, if you identify when your ultradian rhythms are, you'll know that you'll have access to about 90 minutes of peak time focus. And that's going to be very important if you want to get creative stuff done, maybe editing, mixing, any of that stuff done. You can be highly focused for about 90 minutes, but that's going to be as far as you can possibly take it biologically, chemically. What happens after 90 minutes is that your brain basically has a kind of adenosine spike. So imagine the hourglass and imagine if just the sand had accumulated very high, so it would artificially feel more tired than it really is. But what happens is that basically you have 90 minutes where your brain can work, and then it's toast. And in that toast period, you have to reset it properly. Means you can't start scrolling on the phone and doing like answering emails. If you want to be a creative and you want to be productive, those 20 minutes after the 90 have to be done doing something completely that resets you. So if you're not a full-time music producer and you don't have a time that you can dedicate to your music production, what I'm saying to you is that you should save a little bit of those ultradian moments for the time that you can get your work done, even if that's late at night. With regards to this, let's think about caffeine really quickly, because obviously with late nights and all that, the stimulus, all those different things can take effect and it can affect your ultradian rhythm. But what I'm saying to you is this. Caffeine is not a stimulant, it's a beta blocker. So instead of it being like something that excites you, what it really is doing is that adenosine that I keep talking about, it's stopping it from going through to the bottom of the hourglass and giving you the artificial feeling of being more awake because you have more adenosine still accumulated on top. However, the point of the video is not to teach you about caffeine. The point of the video is to tell you that if you can identify that you only have these 2 cycles during the day, let's figure out the best way to use these cycles. So let's think about how an ultradian rhythm might work with regards to, let's say, a music production day. I tend to be more productive in the morning. So what I will do is I will get myself set up, and then I know that I have about a burst of 90 minutes where I can get good work done. In those 90 minutes, I will put on a hat. What does that mean? I will be either a producer, a creator, an editor, one of those roles, but I won't be multiple roles. Let's say I'm being a creative. I'm going to spend that first 90 minutes making loops, coming up with drums, coming up with ideas, coming up with melodies, all the different things, but not being worried if it's not perfect and anything like that. 90 minutes over, I'm done. I take a break. I need to fully take a break. And perhaps in my case, I'll probably come back in the afternoon. The second time you get back to it, maybe in that time, you're more the producer role and you start to think about the arrangement. You start to think about the way that the song might need other parts to it. You start to add vocals, perhaps other things that you might want to do. That's another 90 minutes. The thing I'm trying to share with you guys is like, don't keep pushing it. You got that good 90 minutes, stop and go do something else, then come back to it. So perhaps, let's say you're healthy and, vigorous and you want to keep working. You might have that third ultradian rhythm in you to get maybe the editing done. And maybe that can be something that you spend 90 minutes on as well. But basically, that would be a hyper productive day and a very good way of breaking it all down. The reason I'm giving you this information is because ultradian rhythms are a real thing. And if you power through your work, what'll happen is half the time you'll end up with not really great stuff. And really, if you've invested all this time in doing what you love to do, you deserve to give yourself the best opportunities to create the best things that you can make. And the point is that there are basically times in the day where you will be able to do that and times where you won't. And understanding when those times are and how to use them will be hyper beneficial to you. So here's the takeaway. I want you guys to think about when your 90-minute cycle is. Write it down. See if more or less it fits into a sort of schedule. Like you know that from 6 to 7 p.m. you have an hour, whatever it is, 90 minutes. Just write that down on a piece of paper so you can clearly identify that that's one of your blocks. And then see if you can find another block, perhaps at a distance that makes sense, where you can add another 90-minute segment. So it's important to kind of understand that, because what you'll do then is be hyper-focused in those 90 minutes. And then in the other times, maybe that's when you're like setting up your cameras, fixing your lighting, doing all the other things, but don't do that in your 90-minute rhythmic cycle where you're hyper-productive. That's the thing. It's like organize yourself a little bit so that when you do get the chance to make music, you've just hit it out of the ballpark. And then when you're not making music, you're using that time to do all the other kind of janitorial things that you might need to do. But then you know you're coming up on another 90 minutes and then you can hit it out of the ballpark again. Circadian rhythms, getting proper sleep, eating, all that stuff is important. But also these ultradian rhythms are very important, because if you force something, it often won't work. But if you know that you have like a good segment of time coming up that you can be very productive, focus on that and you'll see that the outcome will be a million times better. All right, guys, hope that was helpful. See you again soon, and peace.